Welcome to the Q&A live with me. I'm Leigh. I'm the boss of Coombe Valley Campers, um, presenter of the YouTube channel as well. And I just wanted to say hello and welcome once again to our Q&A. Q&A live on Sunday. Normally it takes a minute or so to see people turning up, but I hope you've all had a good weekend, good week since we saw you last. There's been lots going on, actually. Lots to look forward to moving forward with our project. I'd like to start seeing your questions or comments rolling in straight away. Straight away, we've got Motivate here. He says, "Woohoo, I'm back, my dude. Nice to see you, man." Now, you might notice straight off the bat that I'm in a different position. The fire is not here today, and I'm lit. This is actually this is actually my daughter's ring light and tripod. She knew that I was doing this again. She's like, "Daddy, why don't you use the Christmas present you gave me?" So she had for Christmas, she got a phone, and we gave her a little ring light and tripod, and turns out I need it more than her right this second. So yeah, that's why I've got it. So if you are watching, I can see 16, in fact 24 people. It's just updated. 24 people have tuned in live. Good evening, everybody. For those who have just turned up, I'm Leigh, and I'm here to answer your questions about all things camper vans, maybe our latest projects, maybe things you've seen in our social media over the last week. So yeah, if you're here, maybe write a little comment, a little emoji, and we can start smashing on. Right, here we go. We're already getting some questions. Oh, bear with us 1 second. It always takes me a little second to figure out how we all do this. And as you may have known, we normally do these on Instagram, but as of last week, we're starting doing them from YouTube. So the YouTube audience get to see us as well. So let's hope. Right, let's get these done. Live chat. All messages. There we go. Brilliant. So John Wallace, he's coming in on sodden hell. Good evening, my man. Patrick Evans, first question. He is saying, oh, here we go. Hang on. Brilliant. Just bought a ply kit for a T4 yesterday from yourselves. Do hidden trim clips fit in the standard holes already around the van? Yes, they do. So the trim clips are designed for 8 to 10 millimeter holes, and that is pretty standard for VW T4s, T5s, even the Type 25s, and I think the Transit Customs as well. So they're good for most vans. Now, if I do turn this light off, this ring light thing, it's because it's kind of like flickering. Maybe I can turn it down a bit. There we go. Haha. Just got a little thing here. It plugs into like a little battery pack, so you can use it on the move. Yeah, so 24 of you in here. We've got some comments going down. Brilliant. Okay. Motivate. He says, okay, number one, what is the standard order of the average build? Now, we have a blog on how to do the order of your build, and we also have our podcast. If you didn't know, we do a podcast. We've only ever done 10 episodes of the Camper Van Cast, and you'll find that on all your podcast platforms, I guess. And we go through the order very quickly. It's like the planning is the main part. You really want to know what your van or what camping it is you intend to do in your van, and that sort of determines your build. So how many people is it sleeping? What sort of environments will you be camping in? And how are you going to be camping? Is your van designed to just go on sort of registered campsites with hookup and water? Are you wanting to do more off-grid for a day at a time or 2 weeks at a time? Are you wanting to do just festivals and some campsites or whatever it may be? And that will determine your build, and that's maybe how you'll do your design. When it comes to building a van, obviously it's buying it, checking it over, making it mechanically sound, then driving it for a little bit, see if you can iron out the creases, then giving it a damn good clean inside and out. If you've seen any of our social media so far on our new project, the 2KT5, one of the first things we've done, purely because it's an absolute swamp. No, it's just the grossest vehicle I've ever seen, let alone owned. So we've been steam cleaning it, stripping it out, washing all the stuff, So get it clean, get it ready for conversion. And generally, say if you want a pop-top roof and you definitely want to put windows in, they're the things you do first, is cut the big holes in the van first. So once you've got the big holes cut in the van first for, say, the roof and the windows, then you want to go ahead and sound deaden and insulate. Plan for your electrics and utilities. So if you want water, prepare for water, being that interior or exterior tanks. The wiring, you want to know where you put your lights and your switches and your battery. So it's kind of first fit stuff. Then you'll say dry fit your ply panels. I always dry fit stuff first. So we'll dry fit ply panels. When I say dry fit, fitting your panels and fitting your interior without actually screwing it down, so you can get a good idea of where to route your electrics, where to cut out holes for wiring and or plumbing, and where to cut out holes for things like USB sockets, control panels and stuff like that as well. We also, in that stage, we will dry fit, make sure everything's sort of screwed in, not necessarily bolted and mounted in. Then we shall normally fit the bed. So if you're having a rock and roll bed, you want to make sure your ply kit fits, your interior fits well, and your bed fits with the whole thing as well, because you can buy a rock and roll bed from one place and interior from another, and you just want to make sure they all work and there's decent gaps, and when you fold the bed down, it's not going to interfere with any cupboards, all that sort of stuff. So once you dry fit everything, we normally tear everything back out, then we'll start carpeting, carpet the ply panels, pop them in, fit your interior, route all your electrics, utilities, pop in the bed, and then get out camping. Then normally you go on with the styling bit, so wheels, suspension, tyres. However, when it comes to our project T5, we are going to be doing things slightly differently as and when we get the parts availability and when we get the project done. So yeah, that was really in a nutshell, but I hope that was useful to one or two of you. Straight back into the comments then, and we've got 32 of you watching, which is awesome. Right, come on, live chat, show me the messages. Here we go. So that answer was for Motivate's question, what is the standard order of the average build? James is next. He says, hey Leigh, thanks for the sticker. You're more than welcome. Last week, we did a little bit of sticker giveaway. Don't know if I'm going to do one yet today because we sent out quite a few, but that was awesome. LC256 says, just wanted to say thank you for all your videos and material. You have been a real help with the restoration of my 30-year-old Hi-Ace. Well, you are more than welcome, my man, and that's exactly why we do it. Patrick Evans reply, are the holes for the invisible clips already pre-cut into ply? You can specify that. So when you order them, say on our website, you've got drop-down boxes and you can specify whether you want them plain with no holes in, if you want holes for invisible clips, holes for standard clips, and also say if you're ordering the headlining in your T5, T6, T4, whatever it is, you can specify whether you want the original headliner lamp cutouts or not. Normally we don't order them with cutouts because 9 times out of 10 your interior lights are rubbish anyway. So yeah, right. Fireblade 900 says, Leigh, what's going to happen to all our T5s with the ULEZ rules coming up this year? Do you know what? That has been a hot topic this week in our emails and our telephone calls and on my social media as well. ULEZ rules are coming in. It's really difficult because I know if you classify, I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but you know, there's lots of things going in place when it comes to vehicles. So back in 2019, they made it more difficult for you to register your vehicle as a camper van. If you've done a T5, T6 or transit custom conversion, a medium-sized van conversion, you go to re-register it with the DVLA, they will 99 times out of 100 call it a van with windows, not a camper van, despite you ticking all the boxes and doing all the specifications to classify you as a camper van or motorhome. Now with ULEZ coming in, obviously if you're within the M25 or within the ULEZ areas, they're making it even harder for you now to enjoy a van or enjoy a classic car. Oh, here we go. And even Fireblade 900 has come back and said, not only just London, where I live, it's going to be many cities in the UK. Yes, funny that, because the other phone call we had was from a gentleman from Newcastle, and the ULEZ type rules are coming in there as well. Another person emailed or telephoned and he said, look, do you want a T, or do you know anybody who wants a T5? I'm going to have to move to a newer vehicle with a Euro 6 and above engine. So I can't give a straight answer, as I just know that there might be a lot of T5s and, you know, older vans coming up on the market, because you won't be able to afford to even drive it in and out if it's what, $12.50 a day or something. I'm sure some of you might know what it might be in terms of costs for the day, depending on which city. But yeah, it's going to be a difficult one. I mean, the only other alternative I can think of is if you know anybody with storage space or driveway space outside the ULEZ, etc., etc. So yes, I can't come up with an answer. If you know about the camper van rule changes, we did a big video on that back in October 2019 when the rules changed. Maybe we'll have to do one on the ULEZ, see if there's any alternatives. That's the best I can give you at the moment. But yes, it is a hot topic because, yeah, loads of people have been getting in touch recently trying to sell their vans or ask us advice and things. So back to the comments and questions. 32 of you right now. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's really awesome to see you and read your comments and everything else. What we also ask is, if you are watching and your YouTube or Instagram handle, moniker, thumbnail, avatar is different to your normal name, what we normally ask you to do is to write a little comment in the bottom, who you are, what your real name is, what vehicle you drive, and if you've been traveling recently, you've done any work or conversion work on your camper van. It's always nice to sort of get those updates. And if you leave a comment, I'll definitely shout it out, as always. So back to the comments. Do excuse me scrolling up and down my phone. Patrick Evans, yes, we've done that. Fireblade 900, done that. Brent Draker says, thanks for having this chat, Leigh. No, you're more than welcome. I do enjoy doing this. Fireblade 900, next question says, do the diesel heaters smell of diesel when being operated? No. Generally, you might get a bit of white smoke when they start up if they haven't been started for a while, but generally, no, they don't. Martin Watley, hello mate. He says, hi Leigh, can you run the camper electrics from an EcoFlow Delta 2 instead of a leisure battery setup? Thanks in advance, Martin. Interesting question, because I don't know whether I'm going to have one of these portable lithium-ion battery packs for my next build. Yes, you can generally, but it'd have to be it depends on the usage you will be using inside your van. A lot of people are now choosing to wire up their vehicle to take both things. And we've been asked that question as well. Say you're only running USB sockets and some LED lights, for example, for sure, you'll be able to plug them into your little EcoFlow pack or your Jackaroo, whatever it is you've got. So it's going to be dependent on your usage, what you're going to use the van for. Again, goes back to our first comment and question, and then how easy it's going to be to plug it in. But you would need substantial wiring and a decent fuse panel within your van to be able to say if there are any problems with the wiring, you're not actually going to affect the EcoFlow or Jackaroo, because that is going to be the most expensive part of that wiring system, I guess. So all the protection before and after that will ensure that your leisure wiring stays well and healthy and works properly. But also, if I come to do this type of system in my own build, for example, I would wire up the vehicle with a system that means that if I wanted to go back to a standard leisure battery, all I'd need to do is connect the battery terminals back on, for example. So yeah, there we go. I've been a little bit stupid today, and I have not even got myself a glass of water. So if I disappear for 30 seconds, it will be just to get a glass of water, because I think I'm going to do a lot of talking this evening, that's for sure. Next question, Keith Patterson, best rock and roll bed. Again, I get asked a lot, what's the best this, what's the best that? It depends exactly what you're after. The safest bed on the market, made in the UK, for example, it's got TÜV testing standards. That is the Rusty Leigh bed. Whether it's the most comfortable, I don't know. I've never slept on one. The rib bed, the rib Altair, that is a very good bed as well, but also is the smart bed, and there's lots of different alternatives as well. If you do have a decent, if you're going just for safety or budget, but it's not the most comfortable bed, there are lots of toppers out there which would make the bed more comfortable as well. But you've got to look at budget, safety, usability, and whether it'll actually fit in your van and your interior layout as well. So, wow, there are 42 of you on board right now. This is awesome. I am absolutely loving this. And like I say, I think I'm going to be chatting the whole time. Right, where are we going? Matt Coulson says, thanks for sending out the sticker. Very pleased. We'll fit this week and pop photos on the socials and take you guys. Thank you very much, Matt. Motivators come back and says, is there a go-to page that provides readily available templates for furnitures and more? Not that I know of. No, but if you want a preset interior, go to somewhere like Van Furniture or even Evo Motion Designs or something like that. We've done videos on Evo Motion Design interiors, and we've done videos on Van Furniture, and we currently sell Van Furniture interiors on our website as well. But say there's an interior out there that you really want that's not particularly for your van. Most companies will do an unscribed interior, and that means an interior that's not exactly made to fit your van. That's what we did with Dan's van, if you remember from the Dan's van videos. Well, we haven't done that video yet, but it is coming up. So basically, for Dan's van video, he ordered an interior that was meant for a T5. We had it delivered unscribed, but then we scribed it ready to fit into a T4, and that is in an up-and-coming video. And I've seen that question further down. James, what swivel base do you recommend for a single T5 seat? The Rusty Leigh single swivel base. Again, it's TÜV tested. It's one of the safest, or it is the safest, that's made in the UK. We sell them on our website. So head to www.coomvalleycampus.co.uk. We do the single for them and the double from Rusty Leigh. If you can hear a weird noise in the background, that is my dog snoring. I wonder if I can... Where is he? He's just down there. And he's getting to the state where he's just about to start snoring and making some weird noises in the background. Right. North Wales Campus says, hey up, just wondering how you were getting on with the other VW T4 and the lad that worked with you completed. Dan's T4 van was completed like last summer. We've just been so busy with building up the business over the last 12 months that the YouTube's taken a bit of a back seat. However, we are filming the final episode of Dan's van this coming Friday. And then the videos, I think the next episode of Dan's van will be released on the last week of January. Then there's 2 more videos after that for Dan's van. And then we're starting with the project 2KT5, which I cannot wait to show you because it's already going really, really well. We've got some really good companies on board to work with that too. Right. Fireblade 900. Yes, he says not only just London where I live, it's going to be in many cities too. Yeah, we were talking about the ULEZ zones. Who's next? Woo 58, WHU 58. The DVLA are being taken to court for maladministration on the subject of registering a camper van with windows. Interesting. I'm going to have to look into that because I need to learn more. VW T4, 1 year since the build started. Congratulations, Patrick. Well done. Fireblade Martin, I have oh, there we go. So, as I said about 5 minutes ago, if you're watching, good evening. If you haven't commented before, leave a comment down below to say who your real name is, because all I can see is your Instagram handle, or sorry, your YouTube handle, what van you have, where you live, and then what work you've been doing on your van recently. So Fireblade 900 is called Martin. He says, I have a T5 2.5 litre 2006. North Wales Campers says, Robbie, Sunny Rill, North Wales. Good evening, Robbie. Caravan and motorhome engineer, 15 years, recently started converting vans for Varo Camper self-build. Well done, my man. That is awesome. Patrick Evans, where do you normally route your split charge cable on a T4? Good question. I haven't done the T4 for a while. Did we do it in Dan's video? If I remember rightly, there is a large wiring grommet on a right-hand drive van just inside of the A pillar behind the airbox, just south of the A pillar on the airbox. So if your battery's on the passenger side in a right-hand drive T4, you can route the wiring through the engine bay or around the front of the front slam panel, up and then into, or route whichever way you want. You can do it against the engine. Sorry, I'm looking up because I'm thinking in my mind. Or you can run it across the firewall and then into that large grommet. It then goes into the dash to the right-hand side of the dash clocks. So yes, yeah, Christ, God, my brain is hurting now. Nick Marshall says, pressure washed my T25 last week and the near side door filled with water and it took 5 minutes to drain. Do my window seals need changing? Funny enough, older vehicles, the doors are designed to have water flow through them. The windowsills have never been that great, which is why you have a metal door, the cavity in the door for the window regulator and the window. Then you have a vapor barrier or a plastic sheet, and then you have your door card, because your doors are almost designed to have water flow through them and drain out the bottom. So what you might find is you've got a couple of drain holes plugged in the bottom of your Type 25 door, and that goes in any vehicle door. We've recently just unplugged the holes in a T4 door because he was having problems too. So yes, drain holes, drain holes, drain holes. Daniel Chatburn, he says, hey, I'm Dan. I drive a Mini Cooper and part drive a T2 late auto. Man, an air-cooled auto, what a drive. Amazing vehicle. So enjoy that one. Stu, MCP, from ordering sound deadening carpet, etc., T25 high top, what's the delivery time? Carpet, we ship out same day. Sound deadening is same day as well if you get your order in before 12. So within 24 to 48 hours. Maximus and Co says, hi, I hope you're all good. Just got back from a 3-day road trip around the Lake District and also smashed Helvellyn, is that right? During a blizzard, being amateurs and with T5 and limp mode. Oh my God, nice 5-hour drive home. Mate, I got your email, by the way. I can't remember if I replied to you this week or not. If not, Marcus might have. And in fact, there's Marcus on the next comment. He says, good evening. We'll get on to your comment. Did I reply to you? You'll have to, sorry, do excuse me. My brain's already in absolute hyperdrive. Moto Goyo. He says, I converted a top spec T6.1 van with a Rimo furniture, seats on rails, etc. Most big jobs done by professionals. Rimo bed system, amazing, very comfortable. I ended up losing 28k trading it in. Holy moly! Right. Well, is that what the rate is for vans at the moment? Are they going down? Wow, that is a lot of money to lose trading a van in. Daniel Chatburn says, think about buying a roof tent for the Mini. Frenchy Dachshund guy, August Campers and Coffee. Aha, yes. Good evening, my man. Cool. Yes, roof tents. Have a chat with Jed over at Campervan Culture. He's got a good range of roof tents. Who's next? North Wales Campers says, cool, looking forward to it. Motivate. How are overhead cabinets normally attached to the ceilings of VW T5, T6 vans? You can attach them if you want, hopes and dreams, wood screws, whatever you want. However, the way we do it is we would mock them up, prop them up in place, make sure we're happy with the fit, modify the top lockers if needs be, and then we would fit substantial metal L brackets onto the interior. And then once we've marked and drilled the metal work into the van, we would then insert a riv nut. And then we would use a threaded fastener to go into that riv nut. So you've got a metal on metal on metal fastening with a threaded riv nut. So because over time, with the vibration of the road, age, etc., a screw can work loose and then rattle. So a nice tight riv nut or threaded fastening into a riv nut in the side of your bodywork is the way forward. Nick Marshall, he says, my battery box shelf outboard of the battery has rusted away. Not sure it does anything. So can I cut it out and make good, or should I replace? T25 1990. Is that the diesel, Nick? Is that the diesel battery box, or is that the battery box within the bodywork? Let me know. By the sounds of it, it sounds like the battery box shelf outboard of the battery. Confirm that for us, Nick. Maximus says, you may have. I have just not had time to check my emails yet, but we'll have a look. See. All right, my man. Alex Renouf, is that right? Have you ever, Renouf, have you ever seen an ultra low profile T6 pop top on a Type 25? No, and there's kind of good reason for that, because modern commercial vans have completely flat roofs, whereas a Type 25 has a curved roof. That's why in things like the VW Westphalia, you'll notice on a VW Westphalia, their pop tops are a lot thinner than most other aftermarket pop tops, because Westphalia would order their VW vans direct from VW with the large sunroof cutout. And then they just not have the sunroof fitted, but that was a really nice factory fitted hole in the roof. And that meant they could mount the bed flat, and therefore make their pop top lower. So I've always fantasized with the idea of making a super slim pop top for a Type 25. Hello, I'd love a glass of water, please. That'd be lovely. My wife's just come downstairs and done that to me. But no, a glass of water would be perfect right now. Yes, I've always fantasized about it with the idea of making a super thin roof skin for a Type 25. But for reasons that I've just explained, you've got to make a really flat bed first. And with the curved roof of the T25, it's really not that possible. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. Where are we? Simon Massey says, evening, Leigh, VW T5 down in Plymouth. Good evening, Simon. Thanks so much. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Northwest Campus says, what's your daily runner? And are you still at the same workshop? My daily runner is Bully, my 1983 VW Type 25 with a 1.9 TD AAZ engine. I used to run around in a Mark III Golf GTI. That was been my daily for sort of 3-4 years. But I knew we needed another work van. So I sold the Golf for 1,800 quid. And then 2 days later, or even the kind of day I was selling it, I found a T5 for 2 grand. So effectively I paid 200 quid for my T5. But because the T5 is now a project rather than a work van, I'm still driving my Type 25 daily. And I look forward to getting the T5 on the road because Bully, my T25, as you may well know, driving a 40-year-old vehicle around daily, especially in the weather we've been having, because I've driven him all winter in the snow, in the wind, in the rain. Yeah, he's getting a little bit tired, and there's a couple of things that need adjusting. My tie rod ends are screwed, all the rubber bushings in the steering are pretty worn out, so I certainly need to take him off the road for a week and do some desperate maintenance. Sadly, it's reactive maintenance rather than preventative, but you know, you roll with what you've got. Right, where we go. Maximus says, yes, geez, just checked emails. Thanks so much. Really appreciate your support. No worries, man. Nick Marshall, it's a 1.6 TD with a battery in the engine bay, but inboard of the second shelf. I would see if you can get that repaired as much as possible, because obviously you've got the battery. Oh, inboard of the second shelf. The second shelf behind the rear light. If it's metal rot, if you can, get it repaired, man. Because all the metal work within that engine bay is structurally integral with the rest of it. So if you can, definitely get that repaired. Even if it's plated as a temporary repair, you do really need to get that repair, especially if it's holding something like the battery in the back. Cool. So once again, if you're watching, good evening. If you've just tuned in, good evening. I'm Leigh. This is our Combe Valley Campers Q&A chat. We do it every Sunday between the hours of 8 and 9, once the kids have gone to bed and you've sorted out the house and whatever. Used to do this on Instagram, now we're doing it on YouTube. So if you are watching, and there's 38 of you right now, thank you so much for tuning in. Leave a comment down below, maybe even give us an emoji, a thumbs up, a little picture of a camper van, whatever, or tell us who you are, where you're from, what you drive, because all I can see on the screen in the messages is your Instagram handle rather than your actual name. So yeah. Motivate says, how often should a timing belt need to be changed on 2016 T6 Blue Motion? And is it true you can damage an engine by driving it aggressive when it's cold, not warmed up yet? I don't know the timing belt change schedule, I'm afraid. Generally, it is believed, well, from knowledge, you should generally change a timing belt chain every 80 to 100,000 miles, or 2 to 3 years, or whatever comes sooner. I can't quite remember. However, preventative maintenance is key, and if the van is new to you and you don't know the service history of the vehicle, best to get it done as soon as possible. Is it true you can damage an engine by driving it aggressive when it's cold, not warmed up yet? It's always good. Yeah, obviously you don't want to start your engine and then within 30 seconds start doing 70 down the dual carriageway. Especially in colder weather, oil is thicker. I generally do let the engine warm up and let the oil flow around the engine for a couple of minutes before I go anywhere. If you drive the vehicle every day, the oil has the viscosity to line all the parts of the engine and not drain down too much. However, certainly if you've left the vehicle standing for a little while, definitely let it warm up before you start driving anywhere. But yes, generally it is good practice to just give it a couple of minutes. There was a line in the book. Do you remember the book from the 70s, 80s, 90s, which was How to Keep Your Volkswagen Alive? The guy wrote, warm up your vehicle for the amount of time it takes you to roll a cig. So he used to start his Beetle, get out his Mackie, roll a cig, spark it up, and then he can drive down the road. And that was sort of the time he gave himself to let his car idle and warm up. But yes, generally, cold engines for sure, especially on cold days, you need to let the engine warm up. Alex Renouf, please tell me if I'm saying that right. He says, damn, looks like a Westphalia pop top will be on the books. Yeah, Westphalia pop tops is about the slimmest. Now, I kind of went the other way. I went for almost the biggest pop top roof I could get. And if you've seen pictures of my van, which is the blue T25, I've got a Super Viking roof. And the reason it's so high above the actual roof line is because it's a huge roof that sort of slides out. You sleep widthways across it. It's like the roof you want if you can't get a Westie roof on a T25, that's for sure. Right, Tony Hemans lost in the. Of course, it's Tony. Good evening. Why can't I say your name? Good evening, my man. How are you? Mark Selby's giving us a thumbs up. Good evening. Good evening. Simon Massey. He says, "Are you running more campers and coffee events in 23? Couldn't make it to the last ones, but would love to get up to one." Yes, we are. We are running 2. In fact, I think we have 3 dates booked for campers and coffee. We have the 2 on a field, and we have our Christmas one. The Christmas one isn't 100% confirmed. However, we have June the 4th confirmed on the event field opposite our workshop. Don, what's the second date? September 10th. So June the 4th and September the 10th. Tickets are on sale already at www.campersandcoffee.co.uk. So go and take a look at that. Right. Maximus & Co. has come back and said, I'm going to have to shoot, but could you give a shout out to Rich at Night's Life and James from at TimeswitchJR for smashing the first van trip with me this weekend? Yeah, man, props to you. Always love a road trip and love a road trip even more with friends. Motivates says, love, appreciate you, man, and what you do for this community. Not at all. Not at all. This is why we're here, because I love helping out and I love hearing your stories as well. Alex Renew says, current one is an auto homes, but currently weighs over 30 kilos, which makes the van top heavy. Very difficult to drive in the winds we've been having recently. Yes, Hemans. Think Castle of Grace. Tony has just told me how to pronounce his surname. Tony Hemans. Wicked. Man, that was a great cartoon from the 80s. Sorry, yes, Alex Renew says, current one is an auto homes, but currently weighs over 30 kilograms. Which makes the van top hairy, very difficult to drive in the winter we've been having. Yes, I can certainly sympathise with that. Like I say, I drive my Type 25 daily, and with the massive amount of play I have in my steering before I actually do anything, yeah, driving in crosswinds is pretty tough, that's for sure. Right, I was about to say we are out of comments for the minute, but Motivate's just come back, and he has said, can a diesel heater be installed easily in a T6, or is it better to have it professionally fitted? Oh, and what is the recommended thickness supply lining in a T6? In a T6, right, bear with us 1 second. Right, Hemans, I got it, Tony. Motivate, so can a diesel heater be installed easily in a T6? Yes, it can, and there's more than one place you can fit a T6, a heater in a T6. To be fair, you can fit them anywhere, as long as the exhaust, once you've done it, is pointing away from any open windows or doors. So try not to install your heater passenger side, or at least the side of your sliding door, because you don't want the diesel heater exhaust near the sliding door, so then the fumes then feeding back in the van. With a T6 diesel heater, they have provisions to put them underneath the cab step, which is where we prefer to do them because they're out of the way, and they don't take much space in the van, and it's easy to route the heater pipe into the van. or you can put them under the driver's seat, or you can put them under the kitchen cabinets, units, or even under the bed. But like I say, as long as you are pointing the exhaust out. Yes, you can fit it yourself. Instructions are out there. And there are a million YouTube videos out there on how to fit a diesel heater into your T5, T6. We haven't done one yet, mainly for that reason, because there's loads of people who've done it, and purely because there is a very good one out there. It's one I've used in the past, and that is the diesel heater fitting video from Kiravans with a K. Their diesel heater video is excellent, and it's one I've used in the past. But if you want one, we will do a diesel heater video coming up. Where are we now? James says, where can we buy Campers and Coffee tickets from? You can buy Campers and Coffee tickets from www.campersandcoffee.co.uk, or there is a hyperlink on the Coombe Valley Campers website, or you can go search Campers and Coffee on social media and you'll find it on Facebook and Instagram as well. Mark Selby, he says, any way of making a SureFlow pump quieter, or is there a quieter pump on the market? There's a couple of alternatives to the SureFlow. There's SureFlow and there's Whale, WHALE, I think. In terms of sound, I don't know which is which. A couple of alternatives for mounting. If they have currently mounted it solidly onto an interior, I think all SureFlow and Whale pumps come with some sort of rubber mounts, or at least vibration mounts. But we can make provisions to make either the pump quieter or at least sound deaden the cabinet or the area that pump is in, so you don't constantly hear that of the diesel, water pump every time it kicks in. And breathe. Wow, that we are 36 minutes in, and that has been non-stop. This is awesome. Keep them coming, people. Keep them coming. Motivates come back, says, I have Baker slits in the back of the van that are actually functional. Has anyone ever used these vents for air circulation? I cannot find anything out there. I'm thinking 12-volt computer fans. Baker slits. Is that right in the rear quarter, just in front of the sort of tailgate or barn doors? There's actually vents, because that's one of the most important things in camper vans and motorhomes, and it's quite a big subject. It is ventilation and airflow within a motorhome. Now, if you were to buy a coach-built motorhome or a caravan, like a brand new caravan, or even like a static home, there are provisions everywhere for positive airflow. Say a vent in the floor and then a vent in the ceiling or up in the wall. Whereas when it comes to camper van conversion, there's not many hard and fast rules and regs. So that's why things like decent windows or a roof vent, or at least a skylight, they're really quite important to have in motorhomes, because obviously you're, as a person, you expel water, vapor, warmth, heat. So having correct ventilation in a van is key. And yes, you can buy little standoffs to keep your back doors slightly ajar but locked, and you can crack the windows down, you can put window vents and things like that, but positive airflow is really, really important. And having like a diesel heater without the heat on can encourage that as well. But yes, the comes from factory. So Motivates come back and says, comes from factory when the vehicle is used for human goods, etc. Human goods, like food and stuff, I guess. Yeah, no, I've only ever really seen them on Type 25s, really. I haven't really seen them in T4s or T5s or T6s, to be honest. So that's really interesting. Simon Massey has come back and says, what do you think of the T7 multivan and the future of transporters? Personally, didn't like it to start, but growing on me. To be fair, that was the same when the T6 was released, hashtag pre-facelift. I mean, cut me, I bleed VW. I like all VWs pretty much. The T7, I think, is a pretty smart move. What it's going to mean for the future of camper van converters, I don't know, because they don't seem long enough or big enough. But I'm sure people will find a way. Bearing in mind, you can make micro campers out of caddies, out of Berlingos, and even like Bedford Rascals. So I think, as far as styling goes, I think they're great. I love the new VW styling. I know a lot of people are pretty controversial about it, but if you look at like the new Mark 8 Golf or the T7 or even the new Caddy, they've got this partnership with Ford. I don't know the full details, but even the new what's the VW pickup truck? The Amarok. Even the Amarok is based on like a Ford Ranger chassis as well, and they're stunning. Transporter HQ and other people have made a really, really good job of either slamming or raising the T7 and making it look super hot and some nice springs or coilovers and alloys. So I think, again, like anything, any car you can get with a decent set of wheels and a decent layering job, they look fantastic. But I think the more popular they are, the more and more people will accept them, like them. I mean, look at the Ford Sierra when it first came out. They called it the jelly mold, right? Now everybody, well, not everybody loves the Sierra, I'm sure, but they were, like belly buttons everywhere. Everybody had a bloody Sierra at some stage, and they were accepted. T7s, I like the way they're going. The ID Buzz, I'm, at one point I was considering, we could get a Buzz as a family car, but I'm still not 100% on board with EVs, but that's another conversation. But I think with everything else, there'll be lots of business for the T7, lots of interest on the T7, and I think once people start making interiors, beds, and everything else to go in them, you'll see more and more of them. Will they replace the T5, T6? No, I don't think so. James, he says, do you need to have a vapor barrier when insulating and lining the van? No, you don't need a vapor barrier. There's lots of arguments for and against and everything else. However, I feel a vehicle should breathe. And if you put a vapor barrier in, if there is then any moisture between the metal of the vehicle and the vapor barrier you've just made, that water ain't going anywhere. So it will stay within that cavity you've just created and sealed off. I've made hundreds of camper vans, converted hundreds of vehicles, and used my vehicle for years and years. I don't have any problem with rust because I've sound deadened and insulated it properly. Because effectively, and we get this a lot, I'm still getting moisture on the roof of my van. And think of your van shell as a tin of Coke in a humid country on a hot day. The tin of Coke is cold. Call it the metalwork of your the metalwork of your camper. The humidity is warm and the environment is warm and wet. And as soon as the humidity touches the side of that Coke glass, it condenses and makes vapor. However, and the Australians do this a lot, they have those little neoprene or whatever they are, boots or little mug and can holders, not only to keep your tin insulated, i.e. cold for longer, but they also stop that moisture developing on that can or that condensed vapor on that can. So if you've got your own little beer boot, whatever they call them, sleeves, round your van, i.e. van insulation and sound deadening, your vapor isn't able to get to the cold metal, which means it won't condense. Of course, you are still going to emit vapor within your vehicle, but I feel once you've got ply lining, carpet lining, the recycled plastic bottle, thermofleece that we use and sell, the van liner that we use and sell, and then the sound deadening we use and sell, the moisture is not getting enough, or you won't be producing enough moisture within the vehicle to be able to get to that cold metal if it is that cold. Vapor barriers, I don't use them. You are more than welcome to use them if you want. If you've done your own research and you want to put a vapor barrier in, go ahead. It's not going to harm you. It's not going to affect anything. In my opinion, it's a lot of extra labor for not a lot of extra gain. All right. So that's where I stand on it. Again, arguments for and against. That's my opinion. Take it as you wish. Woo. Right. Next one from Motivate. Oh, hang on. Next one from Russ 104. Sorry, Russ. I've a T4 2.5 TDI Combi. Now with a nice sticker. Thanks. You're more than welcome. The sliding door is super squeaky while driving. I was going to change the door sill to see if that cures it. Sound likely. Could be door seal, could be door adjustment. Obviously, the T4, the newest T4, is at least 20 years old now. So doors and catches and hinges all move over time, especially if it's a high mileage vehicle. So what you might find is the door actually needs adjusting. If you look at the side of your van, look at the line coming along from the body moldings from your door, and then the body moldings coming from the back of the van to the sliding door. How do the lines on the sliding door match up? Is the door slightly higher? Is it slightly lower? Is the door pushed out from the B pillar? Is it slightly in from the B pillar? Same with the C pillar, A, B, C pillar. You might find that your door just might need adjusting. If you don't know how to adjust your door, maybe take it to a body shop or a camper van garage or something like that. So yes, your door might just need adjusting. So it might be just far enough away from the door seal just to create a little bit of squeaking. So it might be door adjustment, might be the door rubber, might be both. You can buy door rubbers from lots of places, such as Heritage Parts Centre. They do a good rubber seal, and we use that on Dan's van. In fact, we use a genuine VW rubber on Dan's van from Heritage. So give that a go. Motivate, who says, did you mention what's the recommended thickness of the ply lining? I didn't. However, we use 3.6mm for most applications, but 6mm is an option as well. So we sell it in both types, 3.6mm and 6mm ply, and this is for the sidewalls. For sealing, you don't want any thicker than 3.6mm generally because it gets too heavy. And for the floor, we'd always put 12mm floor. 9mm is too thin because it sort of flexes, especially if you've got insulation underneath. Whew, man, this is going quick. It's 46 minutes done already. Paul Goldsmith, good evening, Paul, says, just discovered your YouTube videos this weekend. Looking into carpeting my Transit Custom. Which months do you find the best to do this without heating anything? Now, because I'm in an unheated workshop, you're able to do this sort of job any time of the year. If you've got the ability to run an extension lead and have like a little 2 kilowatt fan heater within the van, that helps, especially when it comes to sound deadening and insulating. Carpeting doesn't really get affected much by the cold. However, if you are trying to put spray adhesive on the inside of your van, make sure it's not damp in there, because the glue will just sit on the moisture on the metal and it will fall off over time. So yes, you can build a van in most temperatures, and I've been building vans in -7 in my workshop. It's not nice, it's not comfortable, it's not fun. However, it can be done. I hope that answers your question, Paul, and thanks so much for A, discovering us, and B, watching our channel as well and supporting us. And it's good to have you join in this evening. Matt P says, evening, Leigh. Have you used Eurocamps for traveling in Europe? How do you rate them if you have, thinking of traveling in France with the kids? I have not personally used Eurocamps. We do a lot of traveling in Europe. Last year, we did France, Switzerland, Austria, Germany, Czech Republic, Poland in 2.5 weeks. No, 3 weeks and 2,500 miles. My wife is very good at booking campsites, booking Airbnbs, things like that. I'd go on ratings. Eurocamps are awesome if you kind of, again, I've not really camped at them, but I believe Eurocamps are more for if you want to have lots of kids clubs, loads of play parks, maybe organized events, evening entertainment, stuff like that as well. That's not really my scene. I like to, or the kids, we like to go to a campsite, use that as a base, and then go and explore. But if you are after that sort of holiday, awesome. I would suggest anywhere you're thinking of going, ask around a lot on the Facebook groups. The Facebook groups are really quite handy, but also have a look at reviews and then read more than one review. And if you find the ideal campsite, but it's just not right, maybe look at the immediate area within 5-10 miles of that area, and you'll come up with something good. That's how we came up with the campsite in Switzerland. That was Camping Santa Monica. Yes. My wife just said yes in the background. You might have heard that. Camping Santa Monica in Raron. Yes. In Raron. But lots of wonderful campsites out there. Do your reviews, ask lots of questions. And as a hint for camping in France or traveling in France, don't use prepaid or unattended garage forecourts, because they tend to take a hefty holding deposit from your card without you even realizing. And the same for Switzerland. Always use attended petrol pumps if you can. Always use petrol stations, much like in the UK, off the motorway also if you can. And if you're traveling into or through Switzerland first, fill up with fuel in France and fill up with food in France, because Switzerland's hella money, as you might already know. Hope that helps. Joshua King, but doesn't the liner create a vapor barrier? I've got the 10mm Dodo Pro SE. Yes, effectively the sound deadening and the liner does create a vapor barrier, correct. I think the vapor barrier the gentleman was asking, or the person was asking about earlier, was this almost purpose-made plastic liner that would seal in your insulation, Thermo Pro, your oh my god, my brain, Thermo Fleece. So what a lot of people do is they fill the cavities with everything they can, and then they put this big plastic sheet over it, so the vapor from inside the van doesn't then get into the cavity. So that's what I took that as. But yes, effectively you are creating a vapor barrier per se, vapor not hitting the metal, by using sound deadening and the likes of Thermo Pro and Thermo Fleece. Where are we? Motivate, will you guys make a video on a Halo roof build? No videos out there yet. Maybe there's no videos because it's a pain in the arse to fit a Halo roof. It looks beautiful when it's done and the kit is made wonderfully. However, it's definitely a two-man job. You will not do that on your own. That is a tricky job to get done nice. But don't be put off. It's like patience and working it out and everything else. No, we haven't done a video yet. We haven't even approached them to see if they want us to make a video or work together. But yeah, they are wonderful once they're up. You might find it easier to make your own type of Halo roof. I know Dan did that on his build. And again, that's coming up in a future video. James says, do you just lay the 12mm floor over the installation, or do you put down battens? Both, depending on the vehicle spec or the customer spec for the vehicle. You can get, and I believe you can get them online, you can almost get a wooden infill kit for, say, the T6 floor that will fill all the large voids of a T6 floor, so you can screw directly onto the battens that are, say, bonded onto the metal floor. We generally don't do that. We generally just lay down the Dodo Thermo. Hang on. Dead Mat Duo from Dodo Mat. We lay that directly over the ribs of the floor, then we screw down the 12mm floor. Because once the interior is screwed down and the bed's screwed down, the floor ain't going anywhere anyway. And then in the area that you're using, or the area with the most traffic, we screw down in places anyway. I know some people don't like to screw into the metal floor, or they say it might rust, etc., etc. However, I've built and dismantled and worked on hundreds of camper vans. If you're worried about rust in the floor, a dozen screws in it is the least of your worries. Bearing in mind you're going to be cutting a window out of it, or cutting a hole in the roof, or, you know, driving a million miles in it, and all the arches are going to rust out first. So yeah, don't be too worried about screwing holes in the floor. Right. Joshua King says, RIC, thanks. Mickey Batch, Mickey from Crawley. Good evening, Mickey. I have a T25 87 auto sleeper. I want to remove the top bunk. Can I also remove the cross member as it's right in the middle, or is this structural? Thanks, Mickey. In a Type 25, if you are going to remove that middle rib, I would suggest welding or welding or fabricating a replacement frame if you are going to move that middle structure. Because and I've seen other companies cut out big structures, but they also have a welded or bonded frame that goes in that section as well. Because if you think of, let's call a Type 25 roof like an open cardboard box. Once you've opened the top of a cardboard box, all the sides do this. So if you are going to, you know, if you take out the middle strut, which might be holding those sides from moving side to side, yeah, don't remove the metal strut, or if you do, definitely put some strengthening in. That's what I'm trying to say. And the only sort of metaphor or thing I can think of is if you were to open a cardboard box, all the sides would fold and flop around, and that's effectively what your van would do as well. I hope that makes sense. Alex Renouf, is it worth varnishing the ply floor before sticking down the vinyl? I don't. You're more than welcome to, but the ply we generally use, and most modern plies have a form of coating on them, in them. but hopefully you're making a waterproof van anyway. I would say potentially if you're, like a kite surfer, somebody who canoes or does any form of motorsport or even fishing, maybe go and do some preventative steps to make sure your floor doesn't rot out or at least repels the water. So yes, you could varnish it. I'm not going to stop you doing it. I generally don't. But if a customer was to specify to me that they wanted the floor varnished, then of course we would varnish it for them. 5 minutes left, people. Oh my gosh, and there's still 35 of you. Thank you so much, everybody, for supporting, watching, listening, whatever you might be doing. Really, really appreciate it. Nick Marshall has come back. T25 1.6 TD. I found the flexible hose missing between the snorkel inlet pipe in the left side rear pillar and the elbow going into the air filler box. It's 76mm ID. Where can I get one? So, flexible hose missing between the snorkel pipe and the left-hand side rear pillar and the elbow going into the air filter box. They are a rare thing, and they always break and they always go. You'll find most people run without one. However, if you were to just get a 76mm ID hose to replace that bit, then you've done a great job. You might even be able to find one from a VW Breakers or somebody who just stashes VW parts. If you can get the right one, bearing in mind that sleeve or that tube, that snorkel is insulated, go ahead and go and grab one. However, if it's not going to kill your van to not have one, but to have something that draws the cold air in for your diesel motor, then of course grab one. But yes, if you can find a replacement hose, do go ahead and fit one. They are a bitch to fit though, because you've got to try and get your hand either up in the snorkel or remove the snorkel vent bit to try and get it on there and then jubileed on and then fed through. Yeah, a bit of a bitch to do. However, it's possible. And there may well be a decent replacement out there. However, the reason it's probably missing is because they're all 40 plus years old and they just disintegrate, they crumble, and you normally find a mess of spring and insulation and cardboard in the bottom of that cavity. You may well have found that. Nick Marshall says thanks. You're more than welcome. Right, we are 57 minutes in. I'm only going to be here for another 3 minutes. If you have a burning question, slam it in now. Also, if you're watching and you haven't given the video a thumbs up, I can see 16 thumbs up right now. If you can find it on your phone or your screen or your computer or whatever you're watching on, and you're able to give this video a thumbs up, if you have enjoyed it, if you have learned anything from it, please do so. It would be very wonderful. Or if you haven't commented yet, even if you just lay a little comment down in the box to say thanks or thumbs up or whatever it might be, it really, really helps with us. One of the reasons I've moved the videos back to YouTube is to try and bump the channel up before we start the new series, because I'm really dedicated to getting more YouTube content out there this year, and moving forward as well. Because although we benefited from not doing YouTube for a year because we could build the business, I really missed it. I really missed being on YouTube. So I cannot wait to get back on and giving away all our content because I know people will really appreciate it. Right. We've had a couple of questions in the meantime. People know. Right, I'm going to be here for a couple more minutes, gents. Right, Matt P. Looking forward to another Cameras and Coffee before heading to France. It'd be great to see you, Matt. Ryan Lill. Any advice on buying a removable pod, please? Looking to buy one for my T5. Who are the people that do the removable pods? They're based down on the south coast. I can't remember their name. Gosh, Van Gear do the removable pods. There are other people that do removable pods, but Van Gear are like the standard, industry standard. Very good kits. I met the guys once at a Brighton Breeze. Haven't done anything with them since, but I've seen their kit and I know they're always coming out with new designs. Joshua King, have you ever done any gaming van conversions? About to do it now with an Iveco Daily. Do you know the best way to get power to 10 TVs and consoles from a single 240-volt hookup? I've never done a gaming van conversion. I would look at I can't remember the name of the trade, but there's people out there whose job it is to just create the crazy ideas that PR and marketing people come up with. There's a friend of mine, Ben, super engineer, very, very creative. He's done things like double-decker buses, turned London cabs into gaming spaces with huge TVs. You're almost going to have to set up like a household 240-volt system within the van, or speak with a normal household or even vehicle qualified technician that knows, is it part P? Your wiring inside and out. You sounds like before you go ahead and put 10 TVs and 10 consoles in a van, consult with a decent qualified electrician first, because obviously with that much power running through it, there's going to need to be vehicle earthing, vehicle grounding, stuff like that as well. So no, I haven't done a vehicle to that extent, although in the military, when I was serving, we used to run all our radio equipment. We used to have 2 on board 3.5 kilowatt generators, and we used to have to drive a huge, and I'm talking 2-foot metal spike into the ground to protect the vehicle. I mean, it helped that we had sort of 30-foot masts on, and they were huge lightning conductors, so that helped that we needed a huge earth spike. But yes, consult with an electrician. Motivate. I have a shizzle load of 18650 lithium-ion batteries from electric skateboard project. Is it legal to make your own leisure batteries? Good question. I have no idea. But if you know your electrics and you know you can handle them and you know you can make them safe, yeah, look into it, man. But I don't have the answer, I'm afraid. Boomer 1309 says, keep up the good work. Cheers from a Croatian fan. Good evening. Nice to see you. Thanks so much for joining in. Right, we are just over an hour. I'm literally going to head away. So, like I said, if you can give us a thumbs up, you figured out a way to give the video a thumbs up. Wow, that's jumped from 16 to 27 thumbs up. Thank you so much, everybody. Again, if you can give the video a thumbs up, if you enjoyed it, learned something, benefited from it, that'd be really, really good for us. You can give us a thumbs up, or if not, just leave a little thumbs up down below in the comments. That'd be wonderful. So far, we've had Joshua King saying thanks. He's given us a thumbs up, and Stu MCP's given us a thumbs up as well. Steve Frayne, he says, where and when did you serve? I did 89 to 2000. Well, I joined up when you left, my man. I joined up in 2000. I joined the Royal Signals, and I did 8 years for my sins. No, I loved it. But I was serving in Germany for most of it, and that is a place to grow up, that's for sure. Served at one div in Hereford in Germany. What a time to be alive. Just before mobile phones with cameras on. So there's no proof of anything that happened out there, which is awesome. Anyway, Simon Massey says, thanks again for answering questions, Leigh. Have a good week. James says, thanks for all the answers. Have a good week. You are more than welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. It's been another wonderful hour with you, and damn, have we answered a lot of questions. It's been awesome. Right, if you haven't already, give it a thumbs up. Once this goes on YouTube and it's saved, if you know somebody that could benefit from this, please go ahead and go and share it. Share the hell out of it. It'd be brilliant. Oh, very quickly, Alex Radouche says, grew up in York and at Oxford Barracks in Munster. Yes, mate. Steve Frayne says, RAOC, then RLC, done a few vans myself when I was in Bielefeld. I know Bielefeld well. Steve Frayne also says, did all my tours in Germany. Yes, I did two tours, I guess, 2 postings in Germany. And then I finished up in the wonderful place that is an auto shop. Anyway, on that, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much. Motivate's come back and said, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now you're more than welcome. I shall see you next Sunday, 8 p.m. until 9. Bye.